All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm Frankie.
And I'm Mark.
Okay, a couple announcements real quick. Then we're going to talk box office. Mark has a couple reviews. And then we're going to go over some of the best and worst of Halloween. Evil Dead is going to be a huge rating thing. That's the poster. Was it Negan holding his baseball bat, Lucille? And
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead, excuse me. And then one of them is going to bite the dust from the cast.
They're going to get the bat.
Yeah, and what was that? I was working on a movie called Levy at Yankee Stadium, and I met one of the so-called writers who was helping out on the show, and she told me who died, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to believe that or not. You know, there's so many rumors. We're going to see what happens, and then we'll talk about it on the show. Okay, just a quick announcement. If you notice, we're recording the show. We're putting it up on YouTube. Okay. Subscribe to that. And what we're doing is usually another show comes in at 5:30 to set up for their show at 6 o'clock. They haven't been showing up. So we've been doing it like an extended edition. We're going to do that again today. I don't know how long, maybe 40 minutes, 45 minutes. We're going to go as long as we can. So even though we go off the air, you'll see the extended edition on YouTube. I just slapped the whole thing on and boom, just let it go. So that's about it. And of course, the Block Talk Radio, this was going to happen. We have 4 shows left. And I'm trying to get everybody used to go listen to a radio show that I'm doing. Then me and Mark are going to do a special edition that's going to be taped. We're using a program called Call Note, and that's going to be on also on the YouTube channel. The Black Talk Radio is basically my 30 minutes solo show. I didn't do anything the past 2 weeks because I'm going to do back-to-back Halloween shows. Okay. I was mentioning Levy for some reason. Doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah, so what happened was my work shift, you could say, okay? I work as a background actor. I don't know when I'm going to put these damn radio shows on, but I know I got an open window this coming week for Halloween week, and there will be the Godzilla special, I promise you. We're going to do some other trivia from all these Blu-rays and DVDs from my collection that I got here, and, of course, some other surprises, okay? So that's what's going to happen with that. Okay, so extended edition on YouTube from these shows. We got 4 shows left. The last show will be the weekend of Star Wars Rogue One. The next show we're going to be back in time for Doctor Strange, and then we'll have a bunch of radio shows on Block Talk Radio. And then when we take a break in the wintertime, these shows are going to be repeated, and then me and Mark, we're going to have those other radio shows, just the style of this year, of Videoland Express. Okay, quick box office. Medea is kicking Tom Cruise's ass at the box office. She's going to have the #1 film of the year. I mean, for the weekend, but she's doing really good at the box office, more than the Jack Reacher. And let me get my reading glasses because Mark has 2 reviews. Okay. Real quick, Accountant went to #4. Girl on the Train went to #5. Tim Burton still at #7. Worldwide has grossed $200 million. None of the other pictures, Deep Horizon, Mag 7, and Sully have done that. Sully came close to 177 worldwide. Looks like Tim Burton, for the fall season so far, starting back in the beginning of September, looks like Tim Burton has the last night for $200 million. But we'll see what happens with Doctor Strange worldwide. Okay. Real quick, Kevin Hart. He's already down to #8 in the second weekend. After this, he's going to be out. His total gross is going to be $20 million, considering the picture costs $20 million. Kind of iffy there. But let's go to your 2 reviews. Let's go into that.
All right. First, what can I say?
You saw back-to-back today,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, back-to-back.
Not bad, okay.
All right, 2 for 2.
Okay.
If it was Tuesday, it would be 2 for Tuesday. So let me see. What can I say? All right, Jack Reacher. Since that's #2 on the box office, I saw it, and the reason why it's #2 probably because it just came out this weekend.
But Tom Cruise should be #1. He always opens at #1, like Mission Impossible.
Yeah, because he had a hardcore fan base that keeps going to see his films. I'm not even sure. Maybe these people are. Maybe Tom Cruise himself is sponsoring someone buying these tickets. But the movie came to me. It was like very formulaic. I'm sorry to say. I'm a big Tom Cruise fan. I was a big believer when he came up with Live, Die, and Repeat.
Great movie.
That was the greatest film I've ever seen from Tom Cruise. I'm sorry to say. If you're a big Tom Cruise and you love the other ones, like I don't know,
Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible, or the Air Force movie Top Gun.
Right.
But yeah, I'm sorry to say, for me, I felt that Jack Reacher was very formulaic. You might like it if you're a hardcore Tom Cruise fan. I like the first Jack Reacher.
You were bragging about that 2 weeks ago, remember?
It was better. Yeah, I was bragging about it. I was saying, oh, it was better. You know, because it wasn't something I expected too much. You know, it was like hardcore. This one was more formulaic. It seemed like there was a bunch of tropes, that things that, you know, like in a video game, these are the things that are going to happen. And every time something happens, you check it off. You check it off. You check it off. It was almost like a checklist of strong woman, check. Tom Cruise needs help, check. Young person distress, check.
Been there, done it by the book.
Yeah, check, 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 check. Bad guy, check. Super bad guy, check. Tom Cruise and bad guy have a big encounter, like in Lethal Weapon, check.
It's funny because some reviews saying that was better than the first one. I guess those are the people who got paid off?
They probably got paid off.
Okay.
You can't trust Rotten Tomatoes or whatever is coming out there. Sorry, Rotten Tomatoes. This is my opinion. Don't come after me. I don't have any money.
A lot of people are not paying attention to the critics anymore.
Yeah,
so,
don't pay attention to them. It's like, go see something you like. For example, I always rave about Suicide Squad. I loved it. I don't care what anyone says. I loved it. You know, you can say, oh, how bad it was. You can break it down. No way. Second thing was Batman vs. Superman. People say they hated it. I love it. That's it. You know, see what you want to see. Don't believe what the fans. Don't believe what the critics are going to tell you.
Okay, now talk about Batman. How was Ben Affleck an accountant?
All right, that's why they brought up Batman.
Okay.
Okay, so for me, The Accountant was the best film out of the two that I saw. It was sort of like the best film I saw that day, you know, following the two that I saw. And it was like, I have to say, I think a lot of people have been saying it, it was like watching Batman. It's like, all right, what do you call that? The Accountant, Ben Affleck's there, and he's going to be Batman with a gun.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. It was almost like watching Batman be the Punisher, and he was phenomenal. And I love the fact that, you know, in most formulaic films, there's a formulaic plot to it, and this one wasn't. This is sort of, if you see the commercial, if you see the trailers, it's basically letting you know that he has social problems, you know, social skill problems. So it's not like going to be your regular film, like, you know, in regular films, guy meets girl, guy saves girl, guy falls in love with girl. And it's not like that. That's very formulaic, and you always expect to see that. But no, you know, he has social skill problems, but it was beautiful. You know, he's a hitman, he's an accountant. He takes on a job that he thinks is going to be great, you know, like clean, because they tell him, oh, take on this clean job. And it ends up being worse than the other jobs he usually takes.
Was there a lot of action, though?
Oh, yes. It was action. It was sort of like detective work. He had to go through and figure out who the heck was behind, who's the head of the snake, and try to go and cut the head of the snake off. You know, because if you don't cut the head of the snake, they'll continue to go after you.
Right.
And it was great. He brought up, you know, he resolved what the issue was. You know, first he thought the head of the snake was somebody. That head was cut off. He went to the second, boom, that was cut off. And he went to the third, and he finally found the head of the snake. It was like he was finding, he was like trying to peel back an onion.
Ah, okay.
And it was great. It was like twists and turns. I'm sorry for spoiling it for you.
So the movie kept on going,
moving
along pretty quick, and the pacing was good.
Oh, it was pacing was awesome. Ben Affleck was incredible because, you know, little emotion. It was almost like watching him be the Punisher, and he didn't say too much, which I hate sometimes when you have just too much to say. Because in real life, you're not saying that much. And if you got to do something, you shut your mouth and you just do it. You know, the more you speak, you don't have that much dialogue with yourself. And great thing, he didn't have too much dialogue with himself, and it was a nice, clean film. You're going to want to see it.
Okay, well, those are the two reviews there. Okay, so what we're going to do is now, we want to do like a little greatest hits over here from this personal collection. First of all, you mentioned Tom Cruise. Of course, let's not forget World of Worlds. He did the remake of that. Luckily, him and Spielberg are not going to do any more collaborations there. But
no.
Yeah, but this is the original classic. And now finally the Blu-rays and DVD I'm going to show you. I picked these for certain reasons. They all got behind the scenes, making of. Some of them got 1 hour 2-hour documentaries, making of, and gag reels, deleted scenes. But most of these got commentaries, and this has the original cast, which you don't get. This film was done back in the 50s, and luckily the two stars managed to give a commentary on this. This is the true classic. Why War of the Worlds? You know, you got zombies in the back, you're talking about aliens. Well, this was the famous broadcast H.G. Wells did on Halloween night, and people actually thought, because
Orson Welles.
Orson Welles. That's because back then there was no TV, so people would listen to the radio, and people would say, hey, they would call each other, hey, there's a radio program about aliens attacking New Jersey, and people were tuning in to thought it was actually happening, okay? And that was done on Halloween night. As a matter of fact, I was in this a job where different departments were in charge for a Halloween party, but everybody was assigned different sections to build some kind of a diorama. And everybody would pick, one group picked a bunch of cemeteries and stuff like that with styrofoams and make it up. And somebody else made a little zombie kind of thing. We picked World of Worlds, and nobody put two together and said, it's supposed to be a Halloween special. Why are you talking about aliens? I said, because H.G. Wells, Orson Welles, excuse me, I keep saying that. H.G. Wells, the other guy. You know, it was done on Halloween night, and people thought we were actually getting invaded. So aliens, okay, and zombies, a Halloween night, it all fits in together. So that was my angle. Quick, last week we mentioned Army of Darkness, okay, we talk about the Living Dead, okay. Now I'm going to switch gears here for a second. Of course, the classic Night of the Living Dead, okay. There's a lot of different versions of this, okay? There was one that was an extended version. They actually, a couple of years ago, they actually went and added an intro and an outro to this movie, which made no sense. They couldn't even sell it on Amazon. It was so bad. But this is the original edition. Okay, so in Blu-ray sales, is the new version of Ghostbusters. This is the ultimate classic. What do you think of the female version of Ghostbusters?
I just said it wasn't for me. You know, I don't want to bash it too much because I was afraid that I would get flack from Sony because there was so much heat on that film that I didn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. So I just kept it nice. I said it wasn't for me. It's sort of like when I said The Force Awakens wasn't for me because it's not my movie.
Right.
And I'm thinking basically I'm tapping out of the Star Wars genre because I think it's sort of not geared for me anymore. Or the Teenage Mutant Turtles or Transformers. That's not for me, so I'm tapping out. And this is the same thing. I tap out of the new Ghostbusters. I like the original one. That's different. The new one is for a different generation. It's not for me.
I liked it, believe it or not. It's not as, you know, I mean, what the main problem with the movie, they should have let the girls, the four talented individual comedians, they should have let them have some say with the script. And the script was very tailored by the director, Paul, whatever, only because of the money budget. There was not a lot of improv, and Sony was very tight with the budget. Get the film done. We don't want the girls go make 20 takes of the same scene of them improving, which is a shame because these four girls are really great, talented. There is a decent movie in there. If I was to remake, wait for it on Netflix or something, give it a shot. Okay, maybe a 2 for Tuesday.
But don't forget the original Ghostbusters, like they always say. The great thing about this, the only person who improved in this movie was Bill Murray. Nobody else, from what I hear, was allowed to improv.
Yeah, and his part was sucked.
You mean in Ghostbusters?
No, in the new one, he makes a cameo.
No, I'm saying
and he sucked.
He was the only one who was allowed to improv in the original Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Everybody had to be on script. With this guy, he was being a sarcastic, hateful person, which was realistic, and it was awesome. When he did it in this period, it was funny. He didn't take it seriously. He didn't like it, but he was funny.
Okay, now, real quick. We didn't say too much about the Walking Dead. Who's going to be killed? The ratings are going to be huge on this one. Okay, not like the Rocky Horror Show, the remake that was on Channel 5. There's a couple clips on YouTube. Basically, the songs at the beginning. That's what was it again? The Rocky Horror theme. Damn It, Janet. Time Warp Dance, which really had bad editing and bad cinematography work. Kenny Ortega directed it, and he really botched this up. And I didn't see the remake. On YouTube, you get to see the performances. What was that? Adam Lambert, he did the Eddie. Hypertuity, Bless My Soul. I love that rock and roll. And so you get the clips, and just by looking at the clips, I can tell it was a bad job. But ratings buster, 4.1 million only. Okay, compared to Grease Live, which did over 20 million. Okay, now I like the way it began, only because the clip that I saw, I mentioned the posters, The Day Those Stood Still, Invisible Man, King Kong, Forbidden Planet, Tarantula, When Worlds Collide. You know, it started off as a tribute, and then apparently the show the rest of the movie tanked. Now, this was going to be done by 20th Century Fox and re-released in the movie theaters. They decided, let's go follow Grease, let's do it that way, and it just tanked. And Laverne Cox, she did that one song, Sweet Transvestite, and it looked like she'd rather be shopping for underwear. I mean, she was just taken out of the performance. I don't know, the chemistry wasn't there. So, like I said, that's just the YouTube clips. I didn't see the whole special. But, I mean, this is an all-time classic. And to see Tim Curry in a wheelchair, I mean, that is a shame. You know, he had a heart attack and stuff like that. But we know Walking Dead. I keep saying Evil Dead. Walking Dead is going to be doing huge compared to this year. But
and compared to that mess, you say.
Right. Another thing, we were going to put Shin Gojira back there. We still haven't got a chance to go see it because of our schedules. But a little trivia. I showed this a long time ago. Godzilla. This is the return of Godzilla 1984, which got released on Blu-ray back in September. Okay, this is the Japanese version that got released, and the American version that was released back in 1984-85, which I saw on the big screen, had Reverend Burr. They some copyright issue. They took all those scenes out, so they re-released. This I got as an import from Puerto Rico in Espanol. Seeing Godzilla, mira, esa es Gojira. Ah! That's pretty funny. Watching a Godzilla film in Spanish. It's Spanish overdub. But anyway, and the only reason I'm showing this because doesn't Shin Gojira look a little bit like this here? I don't know if you can see the cover. Okay, and this was released about 5 years ago as an import, and they finally released it in the U.S. This past September. This is how old this copy is. And it's actually because Godzilla 1984 was released internationally. So this was actually a bootleg copy of the Spanish dub that was shown in South America. So that's the trivia with that. Now, big Godzilla news. Okay, I'm going to confront this because I mentioned it on the radio show, but I didn't get a chance to get into it. Okay, this has a full commentary by, I got to put my reading glasses, the guys who did Krampus, okay, it's a Swedish tale of Saint Nick's, his dark side, Santa Claus' dark side. It's known as the Krampus. Santa Claus knows you've been naughty or nice. If you've been naughty, the Krampus comes out and gets you. It's like a hideous demon, they call it. It's European mythology. Anyway, the two guys I'm going to mention, Michael Dougherty, who wrote X-Men 2, he did Superman Returns, and he wrote this here. He's not only going to write the new Godzilla movie, but he also, this was announced on Thursday. This morning was announced he might even direct the new Godzilla movie. And he did a commentary this, and the commentary is very fascinating on this here. They mentioned, they got the style of, main reason like Godzilla 1984, they were very inspired by a lot of movies from the 80s, and this has the style of Gremlins. Definitely, this from the library, believe it or not. If you're in New York City, New York State, whatever, you can get it from the public library. It has a commentary by the filmmakers. The main writers, what was the other writer? Jack Shields, Michael Dougherty. They've also been hired to do the whole franchise. They're going to oversee, it's called the Writers' Camp, okay? It's a brand new term. And basically what they're going to do is they're in charge of making the rest of the Godzilla movies and have Godzilla with King Kong. Apparently they're going to do a lot more things with King Kong. Now there's not going to be the King Kong Skull Island. It's not going to be Godzilla versus King Kong. It's not going to be Godzilla fighting Mechagodzilla. That's what Garth Edwards wanted. He also wanted $200 for the movie. That's why he got canned. He got fired. They got rid of him. Michael Dougherty is going to do something with Godzilla, and they did promise Mothra with Dan King Ghidorah. So this was the news that broke out this week. Okay, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. This morning they said Michael Dougherty might even go direct. But they hired these guys to oversee all the writers. So it's like a big pool of writers. They're going to be like the head showrunners, as they call them, another term. And basically, they're going to expand on the whole Godzilla King Kong universe. We're going to get more than one King Kong. After we get King Kong vs. Godzilla, there's going to be another King Kong film. He's going to fight something else. Godzilla's going to fight everything in the book they can get a hold of. They got a lot
Kitchen sink.
They got to learn. They got a long term with Godzilla, okay? And so the guys who are in charge of Krampus are going to be in charge. So I definitely recommend this film. It's kind of 2 for Tuesday, barely a 3. You only see the Krampus creature at the very end of 20 minutes. There's a great fight with the gingerbread man. There's a lot of evils, like demonic toys come to life and stuff like that. And the family, they're a bunch of screwballs. They don't get along with each other, so all these things in their household come to life and attack the family to teach them a lesson. And do the family learn the lesson? Do they love each other at the very end? See the film because they can leave you kind of hanging, okay? But these are the guys who are going to be in charge of Godzilla franchise. So just check it out just for that. If you get the rental library, you get the commentary. Okay, that ends that. Now it's funny.
So you're saying no Michael Bay?
No.
Michael Bay will not be directing No Godzilla.
Okay, no, thank God. What you call it? And also, they mentioned a lot of stop motion animation, which brings me up. This is where, what's his name? Adam Sandler. That's where he got the idea for
Hotel Transylvania.
Thank you. And these are the guys that did Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the stop-motion animation that you see on ABC every seasonal. These guys, what's it, Saul Bass, I believe his name is? Julius Bass, yeah. The guys who did those, they did a feature. It's called The Mad Monster Party, and they got the voices of Boris Karloff and a couple other cameos. A lot of sing-alongs and stop-motion animation, a lot of featurettes. So I definitely recommend this here. Okay, it being Halloween, let's not forget Pumpkinhead. Okay, this is the only film that Stan Winston ever did. We got a 10-minute behind-the-scenes making-of on our YouTube channel. You have to scroll down. I think it's on page 2 or page 3. Okay. Now, main reason I mentioned that is let's move this up here so they can see the titles. What do you think about these films I've been showing lately? Like, did you see Pumpkinhead or anything?
No, I never seen Pumpkinhead. I remember when it came out. I haven't had a chance to see it. You know, I love a horror film. I haven't seen The Krampus. I've seen Rocky Horror Show. I have seen Ghostbusters. I have seen Night of the Living Dead. I have seen Army of Darkness, The War of the Worlds, original one, and Live, Die, and Repeat.
Okay, I mentioned this before. The thing, there's a brand new version of this, and the commentary. There's a brand new commentary with the cinematographer where he says at the very end, Kurt Russell and another person survives. A little bit of a spoiler. You haven't seen the film, but one of them is a creature, and the director of cinematography says there's a hint that shows you who is the creature at the very end, and the commentary explains a lot of things. For example. Special effects was Rob Bottin, who did The Howling. I don't have that Blu-ray with me. The Howling was about werewolves, and Rob Bottin did the special effects of this here. And Stan Winston from Pumpkinhead, of course, you know, he did all the dinosaurs and everything. Everybody knows the legendary Stan Winston. He came in to do the animated dog. The dog becomes like a big wild creature, okay? And Stan Winston was brought in to do this film to help out on that whole animation sequence of the dog turning into a big evil creature. The dogs are in the pen. If you see the movie, you know what I mean. If you've seen the movie, you know what I mean. Stan Winston came in to help out with the special effects with the Falling Behind. Now, quick reference. Young Frankenstein. We all know Tom Cruise, who just did the film there. He's going to do The Mummy. They're recreating all the Universal monsters. Dracula, which they already put out, kind of bombed. The next one's going to be The Mummy. They're going to revisit Frankenstein. This is Gene Wilder doing with Mel Brooks Frankenstein, and a little trivia.
Is it Frankenstein or Frankenstein?
This is Frankenstein. I'm throwing the titles Young Frankenstein. Yeah, a little trivia if you've seen the movie. It's Frankenstein. What you call it? A great commentary about Mel Brooks. Spaceballs. Okay, Star Wars is coming out. Mel Brooks did a funny parody on Spaceballs, and Gene Wilder was supposed to do Yogurt. Hi, may the Schwartz be with you. Mel Brooks actually had to play a Yoda-like character in the movie because Gene Wilder bailed out at him at the last minute.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why Mel Brooks does two parts in the film. He plays the evil commander and he plays Yoga because he had to do. Gene Wilder was up and said, "Hey, listen, they gave me money to make my own movie, so I'm out of here." And that's why, yeah, little trivia I didn't realize
nice
about
friends.
this. Nice friends. Okay, 2 minutes left. Okay. James Cameron, Aliens got re-released on Blu-ray. Get the quadrilogy for films of Aliens is available on Blu-ray for $14.99.
Nice.
Aliens, basically it's a 30 minutes feature, brand new interview with James Cameron. You have to download it from the internet, and all the other features have been previously released. Now, Neil Dog about vampires. This is James Cameron's crew. Game over, man. Lance Harrison and the rest of the crew. Jeanette Silverstein. Yeah, right on, man. She played the Latina Commando in Aliens. And this was done by Catherine Bigelow, his wife at the time, James Cameron. The whole crew from Aliens is basically on this film. Check that out. Yeah, the good trivia. We see all those clowns spooking everybody on Halloween. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Hysterical. Great special effect by the Chiodo brothers. Okay? I definitely recommend that. It's hysterical. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Special effects are really done good from a non-existent budget. Okay, the Ultimate American Werewolf in London. 1 minute and a half. Okay, here it goes. Michael Jackson saw this, loved it. He hired John Landis. There's a great 2 hours of bonus features, and there's a brand new documentary, 90-minute documentary. Michael Jackson saw this and said, listen, John Landis, I want you to direct Thriller. This is the original VHS copy I got from the basement, okay? Michael Jackson hired Vincent Price to do the voiceover. Michael Jackson didn't pay Vincent Price anything, and the defender of Vincent Price was pissed off, because in the contract says you will get paid mandatory money for doing the voice, but you will not get bonus money. And when he found out that he was pissed off, Michael Jackson sent his brothers, they gave him a gold and platinum disc with a signed poster. And Vincent Price said, screw you, because he got really gypped out of 20 million copies back then. Divided by 1, carried to 0. Vincent Price lost a lot of money. And so Michael Jackson screwed Vincent Price. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. So
it's all about the money.
It's all about the money. And classic, The Blob. Okay, everybody. Now, we're going to go off the air in a little while. We're going to go back and talk some more stuff here.
Yes.
Because right across the street from the main reason Steve McQueen, The Blob. And then he went to join Magnificent Seven. I'm going to be talking more about Wednesdays in the radio show. And yes, the return of the Love Theater, the open one by my way by the South Street Seaport, $25 to sit in a luxury house.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
Now this is for the hardcore YouTube fans.
Okay,
Let's continue.
Well, let's continue with this. You heard about this, right?
Yes, I have. Because, the theaters, they had to find a way to make money, right? You know why? Because the companies don't do an even cut with them. They get all the profits from the tickets, and the poor suckers who run the movie theater are left holding the bag. So for them, it would be more convenient for them to sell less tickets, right? And give you a bigger seat and sell you more on the dining experience.
Yeah.
So they'll make money on the dining experience, and the ticket sales will be down. Do they care? No, because I might go out of business, but I need revenue. How am I going to get revenue if some greedy company doesn't want to give me a good split?
Yeah.
Boom. Open up a restaurant/movie theater.
Let me show you. He's got some more. This is the theater. Okay, there's not that many seats. I actually walked in the theater. They gave me a nice little tour around and stuff like that. And then there's the open bar. You can bring a bunch of drinks and get sloshed during the film. The film starts, just drink up. You can stuff your face. They got pizza. They got everything that they got now. But they even got an extended. You can bring like sausages and everything. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's what they do in certain countries. Like when I go to Ecuador, there's a special VIP section where you could order food and it's brought into you, but it's regular. What do you call that? Theater food. Pizza.
Right.
Popcorn. All this, and they probably make more money from the VIP section than they make from selling tons of tickets. And half the profits the majority of the profits go, boom, right into the hands of the movie makers.
Yeah, and that's why you're paying so much for popcorn and everything like that. So you can't blame the film theaters, Right. But it's funny because I took a tour, and the theater is very small, but the seats are big, okay? But what's funny is I said, okay, Shingojita, for example, is $15.99. in New York City prices at the big 42nd Street Empire Theater. That's the one you go to. But before you go before 12 o'clock, correct?
Right. And it used to be $7.49. Now it's $7.99.
Still cheap. Okay.
Yeah.
Because during the wintertime, I head down to Puerto Rico, and we got a theater down there, and it's like $6.50. I saw Batman. What was it?
Wow, $6.50?
$6.50. Prime
Jesus.
Friday night, the premiere of Star Wars, the Force Awakens. Friday night, we went to see it, and it was a 7 o'clock showing, and we got in for $6.50. Now, it was in 3D. Didn't need to see in 3D. You know, it had Dolby stereo, big white screen. The theater is huge. You know, like it's too large. Actually, it's 3 sections, 2 rows. But this thing is like the Ziegfeld Theater. I don't know if you remember that. This thing goes straight down like a whole city block. Okay, it's not like the Stadium Theater showing, but it's only for $6.50. Okay, this year. Okay, so Shingajia is $15.99. Now, believe it or not, you get a popcorn, hot dog, or soda. That's $30 right there. The prices over here, I was very surprised. First, when this first came out, I thought it was a gimmick. Then I looked at the prices like Deepwater Horizon. That's solely. This weekend, I know they're going to have Jack Reacher. But anyway, I went last week, so I'm talking about the old movies that are still playing there. And, okay, Girl on the Train. And believe it or not, it's only $20. They got a premium sitting, which means it's like a little bit closer to the screen. Okay, $24.99. But when you think about it, oops, earthquake. But when you think about it, you're paying $15.99 already. Now the rumor is they're going to go past $16 for Star Wars. They're looking at $16.50 already for the big prime theaters. Okay.
I think I'm going to tap out on Star Wars, my friend.
I'm going. You
might be there. Yeah, you might be there by yourself. I'm saying when it comes to continuing the Star Wars series, they say that there are going to be so many Star Wars movies that people are like, yeah, it's not my thing anymore.
But it's funny because even Disney said, we know this movie's not going to be as big as The Force Awakens. Basically, The Force Awakens, if you saw the trailers already, right, you saw the final one they had, and what is it? It's basically the formula of Seven Samurai meets Magnificent Seven meets The Dirty Dozen. Get a bunch of ragtag people together on a suicide mission.
Rogue One.
From Rogue One, like Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Same formula.
It would have to be.
I mean, I love the formula. I like the idea, but the idea they're going back to an old concept, and they're going back to the guys who stole the plans. I mean, that could have been maybe like a 1 hour special on Disney Channel, maybe.
Pretty much
for a 2 hour thing, and then also.
God. I could just imagine how the only way they can extend it is like they have the plans, they're running towards a ship, and someone forgot the keys. So they spend the rest of the time on the same planet trying to find a pair of keys to turn on the Millennium Falcon or some other ship.
Well, what they get? They got what's the new ship? The U-wing. We had the B-wing. We had the X-wing fighter. They got a U-wing. Whatever. But also it made an announcement. We all know Danny Glover from Lethal Weapon. His son Donald Glover, I believe, he got hired to do
Lando Calrissian
for the remake of
Rogue One or
Han Solo, the Han Solo movie.
Oh, the Han Solo. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So see, that's where we were there before Star Wars was known as A New Hope. Okay, we're showing our age. Hey, the show's been out for 26 years.
Yeah.
But the Star Wars was just called Star Wars. Then when it became a big hit and somebody said, bing, sequel, then they went back and put a title called A New Hope. The first 6 months it was known as Star Wars. And as a matter of fact, in the first couple of weeks, Luke Skywalker was walking around with a Gilligan's Island hat. If you saw the deleted scenes on the Blu-ray, DVD, on the first movie, you saw all the deleted scenes. As a matter of fact, Biggs, his friend Biggs, whatever, Biggs only shows up at the very end of Star Wars. And they fight him. He was talking with Biggs. Hey, Biggs, hey, listen, what's going on up there? Oh, it looks like they're having a big fight. Oh, I got to get off the farm and go up there. You seen the deleted scenes?
Yes.
So all those scenes were actually in the movie when it first came out in the first couple of weeks. Then fans started noticing when they, all the repeaters, oh, I got to drag my friend. I got to go back and see it again. Hey, something's missing here. But nobody really, back then nobody ever thought of it. But
by the time I saw the movie in the theaters, they had cut that scene out.
Right, and then they got tagged out as a New Hope. So that's what we're saying. We're not getting Star Wars. I mean, I love Star Wars, Star Trek. Come up with that. It's many things. I love the clone, not the Clone Wars, the new Star Wars Rebels, where they're starting to introduce some of the characters again. But it's like they're just recycling all the old stuff instead of going ahead. They're doing that with Force Awakens, but now they're recycling Obi-Wan. Ewan McGregor, he's talking. Let's do 2 Obi-Wan movies when he was younger. Han Solo is going to cover his academy, the days of his at the academy before he dropped out and became
Obi-Wan.
No, Han Solo before. Han Solo, he became a pirate, whatever, looting. He was part of the academy. He was actually a soldier.
But the other thing that would make sense was, like he was a soldier, like I said. The only thing that would make sense that he was a soldier, like most soldiers are, for a period of time, like in a Western, and then they leave, like they all do,
right.
and they continue using their old uniform, even though they're not in the military anymore. Like you see that a lot in the Westerns.
Right.
Like Branded, or one of these other guys, like, I used to be in the military, but I still wear the pants, or I still wear the hat, or I still wear the jacket, but I'm not in the military anymore.
Right. It's funny because I just saw a movie with John Travolta, Ethan Hawke. What was the name? It was a Western, believe it or not, which I really recommend. In the Valley of Violence. I think it's on Netflix or Hulu, whatever. And of course, we always mention a Western can be a sci-fi.
Right.
Change the gun.
Interchangeable.
Yeah, it's changed the gun into a laser thing. We all, how many times we said it? George Lucas could not sell Star Wars to anybody. He went to 20th Century Fox. Alan Ladd Jr. Alan Ladd Sr. was a famous cowboy, like a Roy Rogers back in the 40s. And as a matter of fact, we forgot to mention time travel. We'll do that because a couple shows on time travel. A couple of my fellow background actors have been on time. What was that other show? Timepieces or something like that? Anyway. And Back to the Future celebrated its anniversary this past year. And finally they got the sneakers.
The self-lacing sneakers.
Yeah, that finally came out, believe it or not.
Yeah. But
Still got to work on the hoverboard.
Yeah, but I think it's ridiculous. You don't need self-lacing sneakers. What you need is elastic laces. If you have elastic laces, you can just slip your foot in. I'm already doing with these shoes I have. I fashion my own elastic laces.
Okay.
You do with the headband. You make your own laces because they're the same thickness, and boom, and then you just slip your foot in. You don't need those. What? How much are going to be? Like $200 or something?
It's up there, man, in price.
Jesus, that's crazy.
A special edition was a couple $1,000, and then it went down to about $700 for donation for charity or so. I think it was what do you call it? A raffle for a couple $1,000, and then a special edition was like $700, and now it's going for like $250 or something like that. It's all over the internet.
I see on the internet. You see on YouTube.
But copyright that idea about the shoelaces. Are you going to kiss that goodbye?
Well, it's going to be kiss goodbye anyway, because they do have elastic shoelaces.
Oh, okay.
And they try to charge you like $30. That's why I said if you just get one of those headbands that women use for their hairs, like you always see the black one.
Right.
You just snip it in the right spot and just tie it into your shoes, and you have an elastic lace, and it costs you $2.
There you go.
From 30 to 2. Boom.
Boom. Anyway, so we were, what I was saying before, with Star Wars, Alan Ladd Jr. Was, when I went to mention Back to the Future, look at number 3. Back to the Future number 3, when they go to the Old West, and Michael J. Fox said, did they wear these loud clothing back then? Mm-hmm. And they were talking about the actors had to wear these loud outfits because a lot of times they were filming in black and white, and they needed all these loud outfits to transpire to come across on a black and white screen. Anyway, but a lot of them used to dress like that, loud clothing, Roy Rogers. Anyway, Alan Ladd Jr. was a cowboy. Alan Ladd Jr. grew up on movie sets, on a lot of westerns and stuff like that. So when George Lucas said, I got this film called Star Wars, and he said, it's Cowboys and Indians out in space.
You mean Space Cowboys?
Space Cowboys, there you go, yeah. So that's why he got a green light. Same thing Gene Roddenberry. He had to sell a Star Trek, and he said, it's Wagon Train on Wheels. Wagon Train was a huge show back in back in the 60s.
Yeah, Bonanza, everything. 60s, big time westerns.
Big westerns. Clint Eastwood had his own TV show. Steve McQueen had a show called Rawhide. Okay, and of course he started doing these low budget kind of B movies like Blob, but he became became a big hit, became a real big star. He did Magnificent Seven, which really made him an international star. Because a lot of people don't know about Magnificent Seven, that when it first came out, it did okay over here. Then they got second build, but they started renaming it the Glorious Seven in different languages. Over in Europe, it did huge in Europe. Then somebody decided, you know what, maybe we should re-release this in America again, and then it really took off. So what happened?
How you do it?
And so Steve McQueen became an international star over in Europe thanks to Magnificent Seven. But you know, he did this the B movies. Clint Eastwood, of course, he did the Man with No Name, and he went to Italy to make his fame.
Wow. So you're saying not only did he become a jerk in America, he became a jerk in Europe?
He was very insecure. You got to read his biographies and stuff like that. Well, you know, biographies about other people.
Yeah, because
He's very insecure.
Yeah, because the thing I don't understand is, like, they said he already had a big chip on his shoulder when he was doing Magnificent Seven, that he wanted his own trailer, he didn't want to eat with the cast and crew. You know, he was already being very demanding just right off of coming off the Blob.
Well, let me tell you, I learned something for him, and not bragging, but a little acting technique. We went on Woody Allen movie with Justin Timberlake. We were on the beach. Timberlake opens with a monologue. Hi, I might be a lifeguard, but I'm actually a poet. That's how the movie opens. So we were there at the beach. Me and this girl, her name was actually Venus. That's her actual name. So me and Venus, we're like, husband and wife. We're sitting there 20 feet away, and there goes Woody Allen walking right in front of us, and the famous cinematographer, Vittorio Santoro. He won the Academy Award for Apocalypse Now, for Reds, and for The Emperor. So a 3-time Academy Award winner, cinematographer, along with Academy Award Woody Allen, and everybody's Venus was in love with Justin Timberlake, seeing him in his outfit there. But we sat on the beach, and they said, okay, guys, they got these PAs. Okay, you two guys talk to each other. You get up and then go get an ice cream. You go get a presser from this guy. Guy looked at me. You sit down, because I was already sunburned already.
Whoa!
But he told my girl Venus. I said, okay, you get up and you going over to a guy. Okay, like you're visiting a friend, a couple blankets away. Okay, and I told Venus, I'm gonna teach you a Steve McQueen trick. Okay, and I said, what's that? I said, well, during Magnificent Seven, Yul Brynner is giving a speech to a townspeople, and Steve McQueen is on the stagecoach. So he's got the higher angle, but the camera's looking at Yul Brynner, and Steve McQueen is kind of in the background, but he's still in focus. He takes off his hat, and he goes like this. He looks at his gun. He does all these mannerisms, and Yul Brynner says, you mind cutting that out because you're stealing the scene for me. I'm doing a speech, but nobody's paying attention to me.
Yeah.
They're showing all the shenanigans. That's called a Steve McQueen thing. Yeah. So, background actors out there, if you want to become a background actor, I did promise I'm going to do a radio show on that, but I told my girl, do the Steve McQueen trick. What do you mean? You're going to get up, and you do this. Now, the PA's done, says, just walk over there. The camera's right there. That's what I'm telling her. The camera's going to be on you. You want to be noticed, and when they say action, and when you're in the film with your friends in the theater, and say, well, what can we find you, Venus? I said, I'm the girl who's doing this. You're going to get up, you're going to point to me, and you're going to point that you're going over there, okay? And then you're going to go over there, and you're going to start waving to that other person, okay? And you keep on waving. Now, when you get over there, you go like this, mannerisms, just that way you get noticed. And then when they said, okay, we're going to cut the scene, you come back over here, and then, hi, honey, you go like this here, you're waving to me, and then you're patting me on my shoulder. You'll do actions. You wave your hands, do this, and stuff like that. That's how you get noticed when you're a background actor. That's how you get noticed, and I like to thank Steve McQueen for that. It's called the Steve McQueen trick.
Wow.
Yeah. Make yourself animated. This is going to be a running joke. Shades of Blue, Jennifer Lopez, was filmed on Pier 15 at the South Street Seaport. They got a new park over there. It's been about for 2 years now. And my back was to the camera, and Jennifer Lopez right behind me talking to her daughter. The scene is her daughter comes back on the ferry docks there. She says, "Oh, I miss your daughter. Let's go on the benches and talk." We spent the whole day filming the scene. And I noticed, okay, you two guys, some people walking toward the camera. I got James that said, "You're going to walk away from the camera." So they see my back. I said, "Oh, I'm going to show, I always have this famous blue jacket that I wear in a lot of the shows. When the shows premiere, I'm going to show you." But I said, "You know what? I'm going to do this." I started pointing all over the friggin' place. Nobody said anything to me. Okay, cut, let's do the scene again. So when I'm walking away from Jennifer Lopez, I look like an actor. You see the back of my head, I said, I'm going to make sure that people notice me. I'm the jerk who's pointing all over to the skyscraper. "Hey, look over there, look over there." The girl who partnered with me, another, I think she was like German, Irish or whatever, real nice person. I said, "What are you doing all that for?" So somehow we can get noticed. And she started laughing. But then back to the camera. They're still going to notice me. And so I did the Steve McQueen trick. So anytime you see actors doing that, and sometimes the PA don't like that because you're taking away your attention, screw them. Just do something, go like this here, especially in the background or whatever. Just act with your hands and stuff like that. Or play with your girl. So a lot of times you see extras working in the back, especially with comedy shows. I saw the Mindy Project, and this girl kept on going back and forth. She did the same thing. So look at that. She's doing the Steve McQueen trick. She fixes her shoulder. She got let me show you. You know, she got one of these here, and she's doing this here. And she's like adjusting it. Every time she walked back the scene, she's adjusting it. It says she's doing the Steve McQueen trick.
You know who I also heard? I think it was Ron Howard. He said, growing up as a child actor, he one of his first shows was Lassie.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh man, I got to perform with this thing. How am I going to get noticed? This guy is a star. There's no way I'm going to notice. And even when I'm with him, they're going to close up on him." So, you know, he said he did one of these tricks. He said, "I know, anytime there's something going on, I'll be real tense with my hand because that's the only thing they're going to see, my hand with the dog, with Lassie." Right. So he started tensing up his hands and doing a lot of hand tensing motion.
Okay.
And then they would cut the scene, and they said the director went over to him and said, "You know that thing you do with your hand?" And he says, "Yes." "Stop it. You're taking away from my scene." The dog is a star, not you.
Yep.
And he mentions that, like, I guess if you could see some of Ron Howard's interviews about him coming up in the movies, he'll mention that he was always trying to figure out a way to take the scene.
It's funny because they came out, Ron Howard and you know, the Beatles, 8 days a week about when the Beatles. It starts from them in Germany playing at the Cavern Club all the way to the Shea Stadium shows. And I think the last show was at Candlestick Park, and they stopped touring. But it was about the Beatles touring. Okay, when they stopped touring, the movie ends with they stopped touring and they went to make the next album, Sgt. Pepper. But it was a great documentary. Ron Howard, and I mentioned about the Ron Howard story when I met him. Yes, he is genuinely nice and down to earth. That is no bullshit. He's really a down to earth guy. And it's surprising, like we say, Steve McQueen was very insecure, and a lot of people called him a jerk because of it. And Ron Howard, you figured he's a child actor. And, you know, you always hear about child actors getting some kind of issues, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, he's a perfectly normal, down-to-earth, straight guy.
Right. Because I
no egos or
because I think Ron Howard, he had his head screwed on right. I think he was at the moment where he had his head screwed on right. And the funny thing about his acting or his time in the spotlight, he knew how long he had, and he knew he got to a certain level, and that was as far as he was going to get. And that's when he decided to turn his attentions, like he says, away from being in front of the camera to being behind the camera.
And he was an inspiration to the other guys. Ralph Mouth. Who was the other guy? There was three of them.
Popsy Weber.
Right.
Yeah, it was basically him, Popsy Weber, Ralph Mouth, and him.
Okay, those three guys.
Yeah, and they basically...
so they all became directors.
And the funny part about it is they were the show. And then as soon as, for some reason or other, when Fonzie came in and Fonzie got the leather jacket, that's when I really say this is when the show jumped the shark.
Yeah.
people think it's when Fonzie jumped the shark. No, my friends, look at it back. Because when Henry Winkler didn't have the leather jacket, he was sort of a bit player. You know, he was a bit player. He was a ne'er-do-well. Yeah. He had like the regular like James Dean jacket. It was in red. It was white.
Right.
You know, he was a ne'er-do-well. He was an idiot. No one really cared. And then because they kept fighting, they wanted him to wear the leather jacket, but I think the censors didn't want the leather jacket. He said, no, because that's going to prove that he's a gang member, he's a gangster, all this.
Like Marlon Brando in The Wild One.
Right. It's like equates it too much to that. No, we don't want that. Finally, they got the leather jacket on him. Once he got the leather jacket on him, it was the end of the show.
The end of the show.
Yeah, he jumped the shark like nobody's business. The show that happened to about three guys growing up in Milwaukee.
Out the window.
Out the window. Now it was about Fonzie, the leather jacket, and the magic of the leather jacket.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, the other guys knew that, you know, we're going to be a typecast of this show, and we're going to be in the shadow of this guy.
Yeah.
So Ron Howard.
Ron Howard knew it.
He did, what was it, a Grand Theft Auto for Roger Corman. I said, listen, give me some money. I want to prove to you as I want to become a director. I said, okay, we're going to give you a little bit of money. Let's see what you can do, okay? But if you do good, then I'll give you a profit point. And Roger Corman kept his end of the bargain. He said, well, you know, because he's looking, you know, you're the cute little kid and with Lassie. And wasn't Melberry RFD?
Adam Griffin.
And the Griffin Show.
Adam Griffin, Lassie.
You're right. Okay, so
Happy Days.
You're the cute little freckle-head kid, you know, redhead that does all these cute little TV shows. You know, you want to become a director, but Roger Corman said, okay, I'll tell you what. I'm going to give you $200,000 to see what you can do with this, make a car movie and stuff like that. Huge hit. Gave Ron Howard his profit sharing. He promised him, if your movie goes over so much amount, I'll give you some back end, they call it. And they said, go make myself another movie. And I said, guess what? He said, oh, let me do a third movie for you. I can't afford you no more. You're going to hit the big time, kid. You know what you're doing. You're going to become a great director, and you will become an Oscar winner. And Roger Corman promoted him. The other two guys saw that and said, you know, we're going to become a director. Henry Winkler saw that and said, I'd like to talk to your buddy, Roger Corman, because I'm going to become a producer. I'm typecast as the fans. I'm not going to make it in this freaking business. My career is, as an actor, is done. Yep. But I can become a producer. Yeah. Flash forward, and he's the one who helps Adam Sandler gets a lot of these movies done, thanks to Adam Sandler. How they became buddies, I have no idea. But, you know, that's
because Adam Sandler was a Fonzie fan.
Yeah. Yep.
Like everybody was back then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was great. And back then, of course, John Travolta did Welcome Back, Kotter, and now he plays the sheriff. I definitely recommend the movie. Talk about the Italian westerns. I was going to save this for a show, but we got another couple minutes here. History of Violence. The Valley of Violence with Ethan Hawke, again, and being another western. John Travolta plays the sheriff crooked kind of sheriff of this town, and his son messes with Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke, okay, enough of this crap. I'm going to burn this town to the ground. But first, let me kill everybody. Anyway, so it's a revenge story. The opening credits, it reminds you of the spaghetti westerns. So
it's not like Rambo.
No. It's completely different. It has animation of Ethan Hawke riding with his sword with the dog. The dog is part of the story, and it's all animated like the Italian spaghetti westerns.
Wow,
okay, nice. This is the film that Quentin Tarantino should have done. Ooh, not the Hateful Eight, where it plays like a Broadway stage.
Well, I could see it on Broadway then.
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, he said himself he wants to do
Broadway.
Yeah, he wants to write for Broadway shows.
He probably can. He probably could. It lends
lengthy
itself.
monologues, though. Ugh.
It lends itself. He. That's what I'm saying. He would be great for Broadway. People love those monologues. You know, like what was that? What's that? Those plays that they have. Edward Miller plays. It'd be like an Edward Miller play. It would be like Death of a Salesman.
Yeah, exactly.
Plays.
Yeah, 3-hour plays where you just talk.
You're on the couch, the scenery, the couch, the living room, talking, or a bar scene talking.
Yeah, all monologue, you know. I mean, that's good for, and I said this on the radio show, it's good for people who can memorize. There was a big, a couple weeks ago, they mentioned that everybody in the Big Bang Theory gets paid way over too much money. But I said, Jen Parsons proved that he can go on Broadway, do a solo show, and memorize about 90 pages of dialogue, because it's a 90-minute show, and he can memorize all that. So in his case, he proved that he's an accomplished stage actor, that he's got the memory.
Good for him.
Yeah, because you look at some of these scripts. I saw a script for Boston Legal when James Spader said, people of the jury, I'm here to convince you, and the monologue is about 15 minutes without commercial interruptions, and he had to memorize this. And this is about 15 pages of monologue. He's talking to the jury while he's an innocent victim. He should be prosecuted. And I tell you why. When I was a baby, when I was young, but he goes this whole spiel about the guys, white guys.
Well, for like I say,
holy smoke! Only because James Spader had a memory thing. You can look at a page and memorize, and boom, that's why he's getting $450,000 a show.
Well, they say most people who are either egomaniacs or sociopaths, they said it's easy for them to go into these monologues. It's like somebody who says, "Hey, I'm going to start doing Shakespeare because I love these lengthy monologues where I speak for hours on end." So that's the thing. That's the vein of a person who's all into themselves. That's why people who are like that get into either acting or politics.
Okay, we're going to end on this final note. I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot about it, but. Earlier in the show, I talked about Micheal Jackson's Thriller. Michael saw John Landis do American Werewolf in London. And he asked John Landis, "Can you do my music video?" And somebody said, "Wouldn't it be nice to get Vincent Price to do that monologue for the Thriller song?" Okay, and of course, Vincent Price was paid union scale, should I say? I didn't mention that before. Yeah, paid union scale. Thank you. Boom. The album went to triple platinum. Vincent Price talked to his lawyers, and in the contract it said there's a video clause that was buried in the contract. I forgot to mention before, and it says, well, you're just hired help to do a monologue on the record, and that's it. The video clause is so you get paid union scale. You're not going to participate in the profits. Nobody thought the album was going to do that huge. And believe it or not, when the album first came out, it wasn't doing all that good. They released Beat It and said, "What's Van Halen doing on a Michael Jackson record?" But then he went to do the friggin' Moonwalk. Then the album decided to take off, and then they re-released Beat It again.
Yes.
With Eddie Van Halen solo, and then it became the phenomenal Thriller. When the album first came out, a lot of people cared. Nobody cared. You remember that?
Yeah. You see, this is all hype. I'm sorry to say, people are gonna hate me. Michael Jackson fans are gonna hate me. Look, no one really cared when the album was out, but when MTV came out, MTV put this guy on the map because Beat It was like, whatever,
that was the first single.
Yeah, it sounded like disco music, and people already were almost moving on. But then MTV comes around, makes everybody a superstar. Then everyone decides to do videos, and then everyone starts having a lengthier career. Duran, Billy Idol, David Bowie, everybody, Madonna. These things blasted their careers into the stratosphere. Come on, even I'm sorry to say, people are going to hate me for saying this about Thriller. In Thriller, you hear the song, it almost sounds kind of corny. This is me saying, I'm sorry, you're going to hate me.
I like the song though.
Yeah, but for me, this is the way I break it down. I say it's kind of corny. It almost sounds like a Monster Mash type song with it's the Monster Mash in everywhere. Vincent Price, boom. Then they get into the song, and then there are lengthy parts that nothing's going on. And then if you see the video, it's like they're doing a lot of dancing. And just repeats itself over and over again.
Well, for me,
I'm sorry.
For me, I love Thriller, believe it or not. I love the video.
The video made this.
Yeah.
If you listen to in the record, you get
okay. But I saw Michael Jackson with his brothers when they did when he came out with the Off the Wall album, which I still technically is a better album song wise. And his brothers, Can You Feel It?
Yes.
They came out with that album. So it was Off the Wall. It was the Jacksons coming out with that album called I think it was called Triumph. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Yes.
That tour was fantastic. I saw them at Madison Square Garden. Him playing with his brothers. The first and only time I saw Michael Jackson with the brothers.
I don't think the record did that well, right?
Yeah, that tour they only played I think maybe one song from the Thriller album, I think. But then he came back and did the same tour, but did a couple songs for Thriller. But the point making, the point reference. I mean, you talk about Halloween. They always play get your costume for this Halloween, a Costume City, whatever commercial. You always hear Thriller.
Yeah.
But Vincent Price really got screwed out of the deal. Talking about Vincent Price, Shakespeare actor, and you mentioned about Shakespeare being you want to do Shakespeare egotistical.
Yeah.
2 films of Vincent Price. Okay, is on YouTube right now. The whole films. One of them is called Theater of Blood. He's a Shakespeare actor. He gets this by the movie the theater critics that said you're an overrated Shakespeare actor. Okay, he's always over the top. And what he does, he just says to kill them one by one by the styles of Shakespeare. And every one of Shakespeare's stories, somebody gets killed somehow, either drowned in wine, gets his head cut off, gets dragged by the horse. So Vincent Price is this Shakespeare actor, and I'm supposed to get the Critics Award. You don't want to give it to me, I will kill every one of you. It's called The Theater of Blood back, I think 1972-73. The other double feature I recommend to honor Vincent Price is called The Abominable Dr. Fives. Okay, my Victoria, you killed my Victoria. The doctors, him and his wife in a car crash, they thought he got burnt alive, but actually it was the chauffeur that got burned. He escaped, he's all scarred and everything, but they couldn't save his wife, so he blames the doctors, the surgeons, and he goes after one by one, he goes after all the doctors. And the thing back then is like his voice was scarred, so he has to talk out of like a tube. So he does all this, you killed my Victoria. He's making all these fucking funny faces, but great acting. The Abominable Dr. Fives, Theater of Blood, both one was 1971, the other one 1972, well 72, 73. They're both full movies available on YouTube for free. You don't even have to pay for them.
Nice.
Okay, that I recommend. And if you put in Vincent Price, you will see another one called The Last Man on Earth, which eventually became The Omega Man with Charlton Heston, which eventually became I Am Legend. Yes, I'm in that film in the crowd scene. I'll talk about it next time. So that one is filmed. That was done in Rome in black and white back in I think also 1964. So you get to see the original I Am Legend, Vincent Price, black and white, where he fights all the so-called vampires. Okay, and then Abominable Dr. Fives and Theater of Blood. Recommendations there. Freebies on the house. And if you still want to see some clips of the Rocky Howard Show with Laverne, yes, I did do Orange and the Black. I did not see Laverne, and I did not see Captain Janeway. I had a scene with Tasty. If you know the show, you know who she is. And I cannot talk about the show because they're really, really strict on that. Until the show premieres, like I can't talk about The Deuce, which I did a scene with James Franco. I cannot talk about it until their premiere.
James Franco.
Yep, he actually handed me drinks at a bar.
Nice.
My luck, the scene will probably be cut.